I'd like to welcome everyone to a special update on investment markets. Our accumulation options have had a very strong year compared to most of our competitors. However, it goes without saying that it's been an unusual year for markets. Now, I've made similar introductions in 3 of the last 4 years, in fact. You'll all recall the coronavirus pandemic, which started in 2020, where equity markets briefly declined and then generated double-digit returns later that same year. Now, it goes without saying that shutting down the economy and having equity markets rally is unusual, to say the least. 2021 was another year of double-digit returns, and 2 consecutive years of double-digit returns are relatively rare. This year in 2022, we've experienced a moderate correction in equity markets, which is not that unusual on its own. What makes this year especially unique is that the decline in equities has actually coincided with an almost equivalent decline in sovereign bond investments. Now, sovereign bonds are low-risk diversifiers of equities, which means they typically rise in value when equities fall. Unfortunately, that diversification has failed to be realised this year. And another thing that's made 2022 unusual is a rapidly rising inflation, which is running at around 8% per annum, and it's impacting most major economies around the world. We haven't seen inflation this high in decades, and I'm sure many of you will have noticed higher prices when you're shopping for groceries and filling up your car. You'll all, of course, be aware that our investment options target long-term real returns above the rate of inflation to ensure that your super keeps up with the rising cost of living. We target returns over the longer term because investment markets go through peaks and they go through troughs, and it may take some time for things to get back to normal. This year, inflation has been rising, while equity and bond investments have been falling, leading to many investment options underperforming their objectives. This phenomenon has impacted returns around the world, and it's unfortunately impacted most superannuation funds in a similar manner. Now, our fund has fared comparatively better, with our default growth option generating returns in the top 25% of Super Ratings peer funds over the year to September 2022. And over the last 3 years, you can see from this chart, our returns along the vertical axis are very high at every level of investment risk compared to our peers. Now, the blue dots on this chart represent competitor offerings in the Super Ratings survey of Australian superannuation funds. Underpinning some of that outperformance has been a steady and material reduction to our investment fees. We've materially decreased fees since 2018, and I'm pleased to report some further decreases which will be communicated to you shortly. Lastly, I'd like to personally thank every member for their patience during our transition of fund administration. Change is never easy, and we've had our fair share of hiccups along the way, which has unfortunately impacted our typical service level to members. Now, of course, fund administration is in no way connected to investment performance, and the changes won't impact how your savings grow to retirement over the longer term. I'd like to conclude today's video by reminding everybody that super is a long-term investment. I'd encourage you to engage in your super early and often, and to reach out to us if you need any additional assistance.